stap voorwaarts. Of soms opzij. Een ijzersterke band. Gebouwd op liefde en vertrouwen. De geschiedenis door de jaren heen. Samen geschreven. En onmisbaar in ons leven. Al 100 jaar samen. Onverslaanbaar. Al 100 jaar samen één.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to this Longines FEI WBFSH Dressage World Breeding Championships for young horses here in Ermelo. You have joined us this morning for the 7-year-old final. 15 combinations coming forward for this test. 12 qualified directly through from the small final. From the qualifier on Friday, 3 from the small final yesterday to make up this top 15.
WBFSH World Breeding Dressage Championship of Young Horses here at the National Equestrian Center.
We have the world champion 6-year-old coming forward today. It was a very, very close small final a few days ago, with scores that just nail-bitingly close.
The judges at C, Henning Weerman from Germany, Maria Coriander from Finland, at E from France, Jean-Michel Rougier at H, Janet Lefoy from the United States of America, and at B from Spain, Juan Carlos Campos.
So of course in this 7-year-old it is quite different to the 5 and 6-year-olds. We have a technical mark for the test itself, and then we will also see a quality mark exactly the same as the 5 and 6-year-olds for the trot, the walk, the canter, the submission and the overall perspective. So the first rider in is Christine Muller, and she rides DSP Big Bang.
DSP Big Bang. It's a gelding by Boncoeur, Club d'Honneur in the deadline.
It is a gelding by Boncoeur and out of a quadra mare. Owned by Jens Thorsen and bred by Dr. Frank Kalko. Christine representing Luxembourg and this horse from the Netherlands. They scored a total of 76.548 in the small qualifier. And coming down the centre line now it is Christine Muller and DSP Big Bang. So 20th in the small qualifier and won the small final yesterday. Scores of 8.3 for the trot, 7.7 for the walk, 8.5 for the canter, 7.8 for submission, and 8.4 for perspective. Technical marks of 71.696. Nice positioning here in the shoulder in. Could just see a little more uphill tendency, especially in this lateral work. Keeping the cadence nicely through the stretching in the trot. Could just take the stretch down a little more. Tracking up well in the medium trot. Pretty nice balance through the half circles. Just like to see a bit more bend through the body there in the half pass. Nice clear rhythm through the trot. Definitely like to see more over track in the extended walk. More supple over the back. Be clearer in the rhythm here in the collected walk. Good activity through the pirouettes. Unfortunately, not quite there good as there on the left. Lost the rhythm for a few steps. Nice uphill flying change. Good positioning in half passes. Fairly nice ground cover in the extended canter. Unfortunately, just a small mistake there in the change. Of course, things like that will affect the submission mark. Well-centered canter pirouette. And again, nice and uphill into the flying change. Just losing a bit of that uphill tendency in the canter pirouette. Could just take a little bit more weight through the hind leg. in the 4-time changes. Yeah, shows real potential with those Longines of Tempe's. Really lovely uphill changes. So finishing up, it is Chris and DSP Big Bang for Luxembourg. Overall, a really nice test. A couple of mistakes in some of the changes. Really nice quality in the trot. Clear rhythm in the trot and the canter. Not quite in the collective walk, unfortunately. Shows real potential to collect in both the trot and the canter. Really good in the tempi changes. So we just wait for the scores to come in and then we will be hearing from our judges. Let's see, we have Henning Lerman and Maria Colander. They're both judging quality.
That was a very nice and fluid start to our final day. The trot has a very secure rhythm. He's like a metronome, we call him. Good first medium. Here and there, we would like to see a little bit more activity, but it is a good trot, an 8.0. Then we come to the walk. Nicely relaxed, like here, in the extended and medium. In the collected, he lost a little bit of activity, and then he also lost, well, didn't lose, but let's say the rhythm wasn't quite as clear, which showed also in the walk parades. So for the walk, a 7.0. Then the canter. Again, very clear, very secure, nice jump here and there. Could be a little bit more active uphill, but he shows good ability to sit. And we really like the tempo changes. An 8.2. Then for submission, steady, very steady, shoulders, arm passes. A little hesitant rhythm in the walk parades. Yes, after the extended change, you had an oopsie in the extended canter, you had an oopsie in the flying change, but your tempos were very secure, so an 8.0. And for perspective, yes, sure, this horse has a future. Looks like a very willing horse. He's well trained, so good luck. 8.0. Thank you.
So scores there. It is an 8 for the trot, a 7 for the walk, an 8.2 for the canter, 8 for submission and perspective. So we have a score of 73.772%.
For Christine Muller and DSP Big Bang.
That puts Christine Muller and DSP Big Bang in an early lead.
Santiago Daniel.
So next up, a combination for Germany. It is Santiago de Mille, and he rides a L'Amour per Simple OLD. This is an Oldenburg mare by Liveldon and Albasta, owned by Daniel Dressage and bred by Martin Otten. Another combination that came through from the small final. They were second in the small final with 76.034, scored 9.3 for the trot, 7 for the walk, 8.5 for the canter, 7.6 for submission and 8.5 for perspective. Technical marks of 70.268. In the first qualifier they finished 16th. with 75.916. So it is Santiago de Mil and L'Amour per Sempre OLD. A nice start. Looking straight on the centre line, not 100% square in the halt. Some nice steps in the medium, could just have had a little bit more push from the hind leg and a bit more balance. Nice and uphill through the shoulder in. So nicely positioned on the 3 tracks. Good crossing in the half pass. Just got a little bit tight. Showed a clear stretch, just became a little bit behind the vertical. To see them take the stretch down and out. They just lost the balance slightly at the beginning of the extended trot. Also didn't really extend that frame. You want to see the length of the stride extended as well as the frame. Causing a bit of a bend in the half pass right. Again, a little bit hurried in that. Good activity in the walk. Just needs to be careful of the rhythm. It's just a little bit varying. Especially there in the collective move. Yeah, and again, watching that rhythm in those pirouettes. Lost a bit of the activity in the second pirouette. Just a little bit of suppleness through the half passes, and especially that change just hollowed slightly over the back in the change. Enormous ground cover in this canter, plenty of air time. Good activity through the canter half pass, canter pirouette. Little short behind in some of these changes. also lost the rhythm just before that flying change. Just needs to build a lot more strength in these changes. Quite a lot of swinging. And he tightens over the back in them. So finishing the test, it is Santiago de Mil and L'Amour per Sempre OLD. What a final halt.
Germany, L'Amour per Sempre.
Really lovely in the trot. That was for sure the standout pace. Nice and elastic and uphill. Just a little bit hurried through the trot half passes. The rhythm in the walk was slightly off. Lost the rhythm in the walk pirouettes as well. And then fairly nice in the canter, as I said, just hollowing over the back slightly in some of those changes. Some of them a little bit short behind. But a good, clear rhythm. Okay, let's hear from the judges.
Thank you, Santiago. You make our morning better, even better than it started. You showed us a really charming light-footed horse, which we think has a lot of potential. We start with a trot, a highlight today, light-footed, active, elastic, very uphill, and 9.4. Then we go to the walk, started nicely in clear rhythm, lost a little bit of activity in the collected walk, and had a slight, small, I don't know what we should call it, perhaps like a stiffness, a little bit in the right shoulder, so not 100% same length in front steps, but still more or less a good walk, a 7.6. Canter shows great moments, and then some moments when the horse is just a little bit tense and doesn't really come so much up in the shoulders. Very nice uphill in the extended, and shows good ability to sit in the pirouettes, just the tension in between, so 8.0. Then to submission. Yes, everything got done. Lateral work fluent. Small tensional tightness or hesitation, I don't know what we should call it, before just the flying changes. The tempos were fluent, but the single flying changes, a little bit tension. And in the trot, a little bit short in the neck. So a 7.7. But when it comes to perspective, we love your ballerina, and we think she really has a future in the sport, and 8.7. Thank you.
So scores there of a 9.4 for the trot, 7.6 for the walk, 8 for the canter, 7.7 for submission, and 8.7 for perspective. So that gives him a total of 75.436 and into the lead. Next we move on to a combination that were 11th in the first qualifier. It is Ida Nordenberg Kunschmeisten, and she rides Moretti Beltino. A Swedish warm blood by Dante Valtino, OLD and Master. Owned by Charlotte Hay Bondegard and Dan Nordberg. Bred by Kerstin Oklaz. They scored 8.3 for the trot, 8.8 for the walk, 7.6 for the canter, 7.8 for submission, and 8.1 for the perspective. Technical marks of 72.768 for a total of 76.984% in the first qualifier. They were also here last year in the 6-year-old class, finished 15th in the final with 75.4%. So it is Ida Nordenberg, Kirchmeisten and Moretti Baltino. Have a little bit more engagement from the hind leg in the medium trot. Really nice there in the shoulder and very well balanced. Plenty of cadence through this trot work. Slightly lost the hind leg in the half pass. Ooh, just had a small loss of balance there at the beginning and broke into canter. Well recovered though and showed some nice steps in the extended trot. There in the half pass to the right. Good over track in the walk. Nice and relaxed, taking a good stretch. Would like to see a little bit more bend through the pirouettes. There, lost the canter lead as well, and of course there was no change at the end of the extended canter. Good activity through the canter pirouette, was just a little bit on the large side, and again quite tight in the change at A. To keep the rhythm in that second pirouette. Lost a bit of the energy. Yeah, for the big marks in these changes, you'd want to see much more ground cover, a lot more air time in the changes. Coming down now to finish, it is Ida Nordenberg, Kuchermeisten and Moretti Valtino representing Sweden.
Final for 7-year-old horses presented by
Nice activity in the
Longines.
trot.
This competition for Sweden under the quarter of Sweden.
Really good in the rhythm.
Valtino, signed by Dante Valtino,
Good in the rhythm, actually. 3 paces.
And the rider Ida Nordenberg, Kuchermeisten.
Standout was definitely the walk, really nice, big over track, nice and supple over the back in the extended walk. Just needed to keep the rhythm in those pirouettes, and could have done with a bit more ground cover in the canter, especially in those flying changes. Just at times you'd like to see the horse a little bit more through, a little bit more supple over the back.
Thank you, Ida. I will start with a highlight of your horse, and that is definitely the walk. It was big, very clear, supple back in the extended. He kept the rhythm well and collected walk, and he did collect. And 8.8. Then we go to the trot. It is active. We started by showing a true medium. It's very secure in the rhythm. At times could show a little more collection and engagement. At the start of the extended trot, you had a small loss of rhythm, a 7.8. Then for submission, small issues. Oh, sorry, canter. The canter, yes, it is clear 3 beats, but it could work more through the body, over the back, and be more up in the shoulders, show more true collection. Forward, it is nice, 7.4. Then we go to submission. And the trot work, the contact was steady, but we would like to see him really more over the back and showing more consistent collection, a little bit more bend and flexion in the lateral work. And then you had, after the extended canter, he kind of missed the change. So submission, a 7.2. A perspective, 3 clear paces. When you work a little bit, just work, and you can improve the consistent collection. It's a good horse, a 7.8. Thank you.
So scores of 7.8, walk 8.8, 7.4 for the canter, 7.2 submission, and 7.8 for perspective. So a total score of 73.286, and into 3rd place for Ida and Moretti Valtino. Next up, we move on to a combination from Great Britain. It is Sarah Rogers, and she rides Forest Hill. This is an Oldenburg gelding. By first look, Damsire is United. They finished 12th in the first qualifier. 8.4 for the trot, 7.2 for the walk, and 8.3 for the canter, 8.6 for submission, and 8.5 for perspective. Technical marks of 71.608, finishing with 76.804. Owned by Laura Tomlinson and Ursula Bechtelsteimer, and bred by Dr. Bechtelsteimer. Into the arena, it is Sarah Rogers and Forest Hill. Really nice energy in this trot work. Could have gone for a little bit more in the medium trot. I'd like to have seen a bit more of an over track. Just take the stretch a little bit more there in the walk, in the trot, sorry. And again here in the extended trot, could see more over track, more push from the hind leg, and a bit more ground cover. Really lovely positioning through the shoulder in. Just have a little bit more bend through these half circles. Pretty nice reach in the half pass. Relaxation in the walk, taking the contact down and out really nicely, keeping the nose on the vertical. Just have a bit more ground cover in the walk. I'd like to see more over track. Still a really good rhythm in the walk. Just losing a bit of activity coming into the walk pirouette. Slightly better in the walk pirouette to the left. Expressive change. Just a bit of the balance coming back from the extended canter. Ridden through the canter pirouette. Could just show a little bit more ground cover just generally in the canter. A little bit more air time. The contact staying really nice and secure through the test. Unfortunately, just a bit of a counting error in the 4-time changes. Much better there in the 3s. But again, the changes could just be a little bit more uphill, a little bit more ground covering, but very, very correct. So finishing up now, it is Sarah Rogers and Forest Hill.
From Great Britain, Sarah Rogers and Forest Hill. Getting our first look at United.
It's really nice work through the tests. As I just said, the contact stayed the same throughout. Really nice in the rhythm through all three paces. Could have just had a bit more engagement from the hind leg in the trot. The canter was lovely. All very secure in all three paces, very well trained. Just could have been a little bit more uphill in the canter, had a bit more air time.
Thank you, Sarah. You have a lovely, very workmanlike horse. He really seems to enjoy his job together with you. We can start with the trot. It's very secure in rhythm. It could show a bit more activity, push from behind, and elasticity. And then also more difference between medium and extended, but always in steady rhythm, a 7.7. The walk, extended walk, was in rhythm. There was a small insecurity in the rhythm after the transition into walk. So that is something for you to take care of. It's a 7.4. Then we go to the canter. Again, a secure 3-beat. Could show a little more active jump and air time, a little bit more uphill jumps, but shows ability to sit and collect, a 7.6. Then in the submission, which we think was the highlight of your horse, you started with an exemplary entry and walk, dead straight from here, and the long side judge said, oh, it's really square. We can say it's an obedient and well-trained horse with steady lateral work, good half passes. Then, unfortunately, there was a hiccup in the 4-turn phase, but that is not the end of the world. So, an 8.3. And for perspective, we say it's a well-educated horse. You can pat yourself on the shoulder. With a little more activity, you will have a very nice horse for the future. A 7.9. Thank you.
So it is a 7.7 for the trot, a 7.4 for the walk, a 7.6 for the canter, 8.3 for submission, and 7.9 for perspective, giving a total of 73.222, and into fourth place for Sarah Rogers and Forest Hill. Now we move on to a combination from Belgium. It is Tommy Visser and Quentin Bergenhout. They qualified through from the small final, scored 76.058 in the first qualifier, finished third in the small final with 74.604, 7.8 for the trot, 7.8 for the walk, 7.6 for the canter, and the submission, and an 8 for the perspective, with technical marks of 71.608.
Tommy Visser, Quentin Bergenhout.
It's a Belgian warm blood by Heroes Bergenhout, out of a Pharaoh mare. Owned by Sturridge Bergenhout and bred by them as well. So in now it is Tommy Visser and Quentin Bergenhout. Some pretty nice steps in the medium. Good push from the hind leg. Nice in the shoulder in, and then just got a little bit short in the neck in those half 10-meter circles. Just dropped a little bit behind the vertical. Losing a bit of the cadence in this stretch circle. A little bit hurried through the extended trot. Didn't really show much of a difference between the medium and the extended. Clear rhythm here in the extended walk. Could have a little bit more over track. Keeping the rhythm through the collective walk. Just lost the balance going into that first walk pirouette. Just got a bit tense and a bit tight over the back. Much better there in the pirouette to the left. And lovely and uphill into the canter. And uphill in the canter, a good clear 3-beat rhythm. Could have had a little bit more bend, especially to the right. And just a bit croup high there in the extended canter. Lost that lovely uphill tendency. Shows great potential there to collect. Oh, lost the rhythm there in the canter. Nearly fell out of the canter in that pirouette. Just tried to get it a little bit smaller. The first one was slightly large. Obviously thought that he'd try and make the second one smaller, and then just lost the activity and lost the canter slightly. It's a little bit tight over the back in those two flying changes. The first one was pretty nice, but the last one was just a little bit short behind because of that tension over the back. That's it for Tommy Visser and Quentin Bergenhove. representing Belgium.
Is als reactie van het aanzien op de proef van Quinten Begijnhoven. Van het programma Belgium, Quinten Begijnhoven, maar helaas Begijnhoven, Ferro. En
Three nice paces, very active through all three. Lovely clear rhythm in the extended walk. Nice in the collected walk. Just had that little blip before the first walk pirouette. Just had a moment of tension there. The canter was good. Just lost a bit of the uphill tendency in the extended canter. Just at times crept behind the vertical. Mostly in the trot, was much better in the walk, and just happened a couple of times in the canter. But a really, really super horse, and definitely one for the future.
Thank you, Tommy. You have a willing horse. The trot is active and elastic, well off the ground. In the medium trot, he could be a little more under, and also show a bit more ground cover in the extended. At 8.3. The walk is clear. We call it unbreakable in the rhythm, and he shows a very good collected walk. In the extended walk, he could have a little more energy activity at 8.2. In the canter, there is perhaps a small tightness, tension. It is definitely 3-beat, but we would like to see more ground cover in the extended canter. Collected canter is slightly hurried. We would like to see more activity instead of tempo. A 7.7. For submission, basically a test without mistakes. Here, there, small tension. What we would like to see is that the nose would always be a bit more in front of the vertical. There's a small tension in walk pirouette, but very expressive tempos, a 7.9. And for perspective, horse with 3 absolutely clear and active paces, it is a horse for the future, 8.2. Thank you.
So it is an 8.3 for the trot, an 8.2 for the walk, a 7.7 for canter, 7.9 for submission, and 8.2 for perspective, giving a total score of 84.765, and into second place for Tommy Visser and Quentin Bergenhold.
En de cijferraden, de trappen 8.3, de stappen 8,2, van 7,7, submission 7,9, perspective.
Next up, it's a combination for France. It is Claudia Couchard and Apache via Ocean. And Oldenburg Gelding by Apache out of a Don Federico mare, owned by Annabelle Moreau and SARL Écurie Couchard, owned by Ellis Commons. They finished 9th in the first qualifier with an 8.8 for the trot, 6.9 for the walk, 8.2 for the canter, an 8.8 for submission, and an 8.4 for the perspective. Technical marks of 72.59, and they finished on a score of 77.395%. So it is for France, Claudia Couchard and Apache BD by Boschon. Unfortunately, not a direct transition into the halt. Really, really lovely in the frame, this horse. Plenty of cadence in the trot. Shame, just lost the balance, hit the boards and then canted. Could definitely take that stretch more in the half circle. That's going to be quite expensive as well, because that half circle is a double coefficient. Over tracking nicely, but slightly wide behind in the extended trot. Also not a lot of difference shown between the medium and the extended trot. Quite abrupt there into the walk. Nice stretch in the walk, losing a little bit of activity. Like to see much more ground cover in the walk. Very limited in the over track. Still keeping that nice frame here in the collected walk. Just needs much more activity, much more freedom. Get the activity though through the pirouette, just not always in a clear marching 4-beat rhythm. Slightly large in the pirouette to the left. More uphill tendency there in the extended canter, and no real transition back from the extended canter into the collected canter. Quite large in the canter pirouette, keep the activity. Kept stepping through from the hind leg. Just needs to be careful of the rhythm there in the canter pirouette to the right. Lovely expressive change at A. Again, could just cover a little bit more ground in those tempi changes. and slightly losing the balance into that final hold. But that was Claudia Clouchard and Apache WBFSH representing France. Really, really lovely combination, nice harmony through the test. Loved that the horse kept the same frame throughout. Really nice and active through the trot and the canter. Lost a little bit of activity in the collected walk. Had a nice jump in the canter. Just needed to collect a little bit more after the extended canter. Just had that little blip in the bottom corner where she hit the board and went into canter, which of course will pull down the submission mark.
Thank you, Claudia. We can start with the trot, because that is also what we think is your horse's highlight. Active and in rhythm, shows good elasticity. Small tendency to run in the medium, perhaps because it's at the start of the test. Keeps rhythm very nicely in the lateral work. And a well-shown extended, an 8.5. The walk. Like we can see here, it's clear, but it's a little bit, I don't want to be rude, but I would say a little bit stupid. He needs to be more active and really marching, but he did keep the activity, the rhythm. So a 7.0. Then we go to the canter, definitely a 3 beat. Well shown, extended, but you could show a little bit more transition afterwards, so that you really underline that he can collect. First pirouette, nicely balanced, good jump. Second pirouette, he lost a little bit of the connection of the back and the activity. So for the canter, a 7.8. For submission, yeah, he was steady in the trot, and then he had an unfortunate quarters out moment after the half pass before the stretch, and of course that affected the stretch as well. So he could have stretched more relaxed. And then the transition in front of C could have been more fluid. But basically, a fluid and willing horse, a 7.7. And for perspective, yes, 3 clear bases, work a little bit on the activity and to keep the connection always. He's a good and nice positive horse. 8.1. Thank you.
So an 8.5 for the trot, a 7 for the walk, a 7.8 for the canter, 7.7 for submission, and 8.1 for perspective. So that is a total of 73.172%, and into 6th for Claudia Clouchard and Apache WBFSH. Next up is a combination for Sweden.
En toekomstperspectief 8.1. Eindscore 73-172. For the quarter of Sweden, Vendela Eriksdotter Rubin and Deep Blonde, signed by Hesselhoek.
Next up, it is Vendela Eriksdotter Rubin, and she's riding a Diploid. The Swedish warm blood gelding by Hasselhoe Donkey Boy out of a Topash mare, owned by Stockholm Ridsport AB and bred by Lena Nystrom. They finished 8th in the first qualifier with an 8 for the trot, a 7.7 for the walk, 8.7 for the canter, 8.8 for submission, and 7.8 for perspective. Technical marks of 72.68%, giving a total of 78.24. So for Sweden, it's Vendela Eriksdotter Rubin and Diploid. They also competed last year in the 6-year-old final They finished 12th there with a total of 80.4%. Nice and uphill through the trot work. Nice elasticity. Just a little bit of a tilt in the half pass to the left. And at times just gets a little bit tight in the neck. I like to see him take the stretch out more in that half circle. She could have let him stretch a little bit more down. Slightly hurried in the extended trot, and also keeping the frame the same. You want to see the frame extend in the extended trot. Active in the walk, showing good clear ground cover. Could have a bit more freedom in the shoulder. Bit of tension there coming back a B. Well-centered walk pirouettes, kept the activity and the regularity in the walk. An uphill through the extended canter and clear transition back into the collected canter. Quite large and hollowed a little bit there in the canter pirouette. Just finding through the test actually that he's just holding himself a bit behind the saddle. You can just see a little bit of hollowing, and then mistakes creep in, like that flying change being late behind. Would just like to see us a little bit more over the back generally. finishing up. It is Belinda Eriksdotter-Rubin and diploid for Sweden. They finished 12th last year in the 6-year-old final and was 8th in the first qualifier for this 7-year-old. Lovely elasticity in the trot work. Pirouettes today. Kept the rhythm really well. Good over track in the extended walk. The canter was nice and uphill. Showed good air time and showed really good ability to collect. But I just felt in the trot and the canter especially that he was just holding himself a little bit in the back, and that's where those mistakes just crept in a couple of the changes.
Thank you, Vendela, for showing us your very positive and well-trained horse. In the trot, he's active and elastic, especially in the beginning. You think there was a small tension, a small tendency to kind of stay in the air a little bit too long. But it is good in the medium and the extended, and 8.2. The walk shows a big overtrack. In the stretching, he could stretch a little bit more over the back to the bit. But then he showed quite an easy and very correct collected walk, 8.4. Canter, uphill jump, shows air time. 6 well into the pirouettes, that's always good for the future. Small tension in back here and there. And it shows perhaps clearly the changes to the right. And 8.3. Then we go to submission. Fluid, well shown lateral work. Good walk pirouettes. Okay, change after the first pirouette was broken. Right? We always find something, but we still think it's a well-trained horse. 8.1. And for the perspective, yes, he's positive, he's willing, and he's on a good way. 8.4. Thank you.
So trot 8.2, walk 8.4, canter 8.3, submission 8.1, and perspective 8.4. So they have a total of 76.186, and into the lead for Belinda Eriksdotter-Rubin and diploid. Technical marks of 69.572. One more to go before we go into the break. So we're pretty much halfway there now. 15 coming forward for this final. And in now is a representative of the United States of America. It is Hope Billing. She rides Vian. It's an American sports horse by Vitalis. And the dam sire is Ermelo's Boop, owned by Norcodia USA and bred by Catherine Haddad.
United States of America, Vianne and Hope Billing.
This mare finished 10th in the first qualifier. 8.6 for the trot, 8 for the walk, 8.7 for the canter, 8.2 for submission, and 8.6 for perspective. Technical mark of 70.268%, giving a total of 77.234%. So for the United States of America, it is Hope Billing and Vian. Unfortunately not direct into the halt and very little immobility. Very impressive mare with an expressive trot. Covers a lot of ground. To see much more stretch there on the half circle. See more over tracking in the extended trot. Not a lot of difference between the medium and the extended trot. Generally has a really nice rhythm, lots of elasticity. Nice stretching in the extended walk. Be a little bit steadier there towards the end. In the collected walk. Good bending. Kept the rhythm really well through those. See a little bit more uphill tendency in the extended canter. Good push from the hind leg. Oh, unfortunately a mistake there at A. Keeping the activity nicely through the canter pirouette. Again, just generally I'd like to see this canter a bit more uphill. He's a bit more sitting there in the canter pirouette. Was a little bit on the large side compared to the pirouette to the left. Good, correct tempi changes. So coming to the end of the test, it is Hope Beerling and Vian for the United States of America. A really super mare, very eye-catching, very, very impressive horse. Lovely rhythm in all three paces. Lovely elasticity in the trot. Just have stepped a little bit more under in the medium and extended trots. Didn't really show much difference between the medium and the extended. Really nice in the walk, super walk pirouettes. Really secure in the rhythm. Just the uphill tendency lost a little bit in some of the canter work. Needed more ability to sit in the walk, in the canter pirouettes, sorry.
Thank you, Hope. We think you have such a positive, somehow very cute, sweet horse, a good worker. If we start with the trot, yes, she is in rhythm, has elasticity, could come a bit more under from behind and go back in medium. The rhythm is very, very, very secure, but we would like to see a bit more difference. More collection, more extended. So a 7.9. The walk, like we can see here, yes, it's relaxed. It's easy for her. Very secure rhythm. Yes, in the extended, we could have had a little bit more freedom in the shoulders, but she kept the rhythm and she really collected. So that's good. That's a well-trained horse. 8.4. Then we go to the canter. Yes, again, 3 beat. Good. It shows uphill jump, shows some elasticity. Could come a bit more up in the shoulders and also show a little bit more ability to sit for the pirouette. She lost a little bit of power there, 7.8. For the submission, first horse could have been more immobile, and also the stretch could have been more clear. It's steady, it's a soft contact. Here and there we would like to see a little bit more uphill jump, but 8.1. And for perspective, we really think she has like our president said, a good interior. She's willing, she does what you ask, so there's always a future. 8.1. Thank you.
So a 7.9 for the trot, 8.4 for the walk, 7.8 for the canter, 8.1 for submission, and perspective gives her a total of 75.122% and into third place. So, out in the lead at the moment we have Velenda, Erikstot, Rubin and Diploid with a score of 76.186. In second place it is Santiago de Mil and La Amour Sempre OLD. They sit in second with 75.436. And then Hope Beerling and Vian in third with 75.122%. So we're just going to take a short break now. We will be back for the final 7 competitors. Next horse goes in at 10:50. There you can see the official standings so far. So join us back in around half an hour for the second part of this 7-year-old final.
Third for the United States of America, Hope Beerling and Vian, 75.122. At the fourth position for Belgium, Tommy Fischer, Quinten Begijnhoeve, 74.765. And for Luxembourg, position number 5, Christine Muller, Ermelo, and DSP Big Ben, 73.772. We have a break and we will start again at 10:50. Team voor 11 dames hier gaan naar Isabel Werts en Valdiviani. Neem de combinatie deze finale 7-jarige paarden op de slotdag van Longines FEI WBFSH Dressage Breeding Championship for Young Horses here at the National Equestrian Center Ermelo. So breakdown. Veel standhouders, even richting het probedorp zou ik zeggen. Even daar een kopje koffie drinken of wat dan ook. De horecakamers die zijn uitstekend, zijn altijd maar weer. En zo is het ook. Hebben we de tijd voor, want 10:10, dan gaan we weer verder. Tot straks. See you later.
Hello and welcome back to this second half of the 7-year-old final here at the Longines FEI WBFSH Dressage Club Breeding Championships for young horses here in Ermelo. We have had a fantastic start to the competition with 8 combinations coming forward. Out in the lead though, it is the Swedish combination of Belinda, Eriksdotter Rubin and Diploid with a score of 76.186%. Santiago de Mil and L'Amour per Diciembre OLD, they are in second with 75.436, and Hope Beerling and Vianne are sitting in third with 75.122%. 7 combinations left to come, and up next it is a combination for Germany. It is Isabel Vert and Valdiviani. It is a Hanoverian stallion by Veneno. Dam Sire is Peter Tans, owned by Melanie Wintershaws and bred by Roger Bullman. They had a score of 78.4% in the first qualifier, 9 for the trot, 6.5 for the walk, 9 for the canter, 8 for the submission and 8.4 for perspective. Technical marks of 75%. Madeline, a long-standing owner for Isabel. So in now for Germany, it is Isabel Vert and Valdiviani. Not quite square in that initial halt, just stepped back. A really powerful horse, lots of expression. Over tracking well in the medium trot. Just have a little bit more self-carriage through the half circles and the half pass. Generally, from most of these riders in this class, I'd like to see a lot more stretch in the half circle, losing the rhythm in the extended trot. Several losses of balance there. Bit too much neck bend through the shoulder in. Lovely there in the half pass to the right. Losing the rhythm in the walk, just a little jog as she came into the extended walk. Very limited on the overtrack in the walk. They scored a 6.5 in the first qualifier in the walk. A clear rhythm though in the extension. Just like to see much more ground cover. Losing the rhythm though here in the collected walk. Kept the activity fairly well in the walk pirouettes. A lovely uphill transition into the canter. Scored 9s for the trot and the canter in the first qualifier. Could have a bit more self-carriage through the half passes. Plenty of air time and ground cover through the extended canter. Really shows a good ability to collect. Well ridden through the canter pirouette. They're allowed a radius of 1 to 3 meters in those canter pirouettes. Just had a bit of a sideways step there in the pirouette to the right. Very expressive through the changes. Yeah, enormous potential in the flying changes. So coming down to finish their test, it is Isabel Vett and Valdiviani for Germany. Scored really well in the first qualifier for the walk and for the canter. Today had a little bit of a blip in the extended trot where she lost the balance on several occasions. But really, really powerful generally in the trot. Nice and under with the hind leg. Good balance in the walk, trot and canter. The downfall is for sure the walk. Very limited in the overtrack. Lost the rhythm in the collected walk. Really nice in the canter. Again, matches the powerful trot. Nice and uphill. Just at times needed to watch the self-carriage. Let's hear from the judges.
Thank you, Isabel. That was a real powerhouse you were riding. In the chart, he is definitely powerful. He's well under, he's I have with big letters, balanced and active, and then unfortunately, in the extended trot, there was a loss of balance. We saw it, we had to react to it. We are sorry, 8.7. The walk, sorry, 8.6. Okay, my president can't make up his mind. It is an 8.7. Yes, I also think it's better. Good. The walk. More relaxed. A little limited over track. But he did collect and show really good walk pirouettes. So there is the walk. But because of the limitation and a little bit question about the rhythm, a 6.4. Okay, the canter. The extended canter, now I can say, wow. Good pirouette. First one, second one, a little bit escaping, but it is an expressive canter and well off the ground, a 9.0. In the submission, he shows very grown-up lateral work, nice, expressive, secure changes, but especially in the trot, he's a little short in the neck and quite often busy in the mouth. So, an 8.1. Then for perspective, we think it's a very good horse, but because of the limitation in the walk, we stay on an 8.5. Super ruddy. Thank you.
So there we have it for Isabel. It's an 8.7 for the trot, 6.4 for the walk, 9 for the canter, 8.1 submission, and 8.5 for perspective. Gives a total of 77.45%, technical marks of 73.5. And that's enough to put her in the lead.
Een 6,4 galop, een 9 submission, 8,1 toekomstperspectief 8,5, technisch 73,5, eindscore 7 en 7, 4, 5, 0. Aan de lijn.
Spectator judges rewarding 75.798. Don't forget you can download the Spectator Judging app and judge along with our expert panel of judges. Next up, it is Suzanne Barno, and she rides Skofdals Dexter. This is a Danish warm blood gelding by Hasselhoff Donkey Boy. Damsai is Romanov. Competed last year in the 6-year-old finals, finishing 14th with 76.6%. Finished 6th in the first qualifier with 9.1 for the trot, 8 for the walk, 8.4 for the canter, 8.3 submission, and 8.9 for perspective. Owned by Barnau Dressage and Stefan Christensen, and bred by Barnskov. So now for this 7-year-old final, it is Suzanne Barnau and Skofdals Dexter. Very light-footed here in the trot. Good ground cover in the medium trot. Ooh, just came off of the track there in the shoulder in. Just at times slightly unsteady in the contact. lovely stretch. Really nicely taking the contact down and out. This horse has a really nice swing over the back. Again, you just want to see it a little bit steadier in the contact. Just opening the mouth slightly there on the second half of the half 10-meter circles. Straight away into a nice active walk. Good ground cover in the walk. Fairly nice over track. Really good rhythm, keeping them marching through the diagonal. Lovely bend through the pirouette, was just a little bit large. Yeah, both pirouettes a little on the large side. Ooh, a bit of tension there. Well recovered from Suzanne. Ground covering the extended canter, keeping, oh dear, and some issues there at the end. Just keeps getting quite tense down that A end of the arena. Shows great ability to sit. Nice jump to the canter, keeping that uphill tendency throughout. Get a little on the large side in the pirouette. Could have taken a bit more of a half halt. Come in with a little bit more balance. In the 4-time changes. Very smart in the tempes. Lovely test there from Suzanne Barnauer and Skogdal's Dexter. She looks incredibly happy with that. Really lovely and consistent in all 3 paces. Great ground cover. Light-footed in the trot work. Lovely elasticity in the walk, clear rhythm throughout. Good relaxation. And kept the rhythm through those walk pirouettes as well. Lovely in the canter, really nice and uphill. Could just have collected a little bit more coming into the pirouettes to make them a little bit smaller. A nice balance and great tempi changes. had a little bit of tension up that A end of the arena and lost the canter after the walk to canter. And of course that change after the extended canter as well, a bit of a mistake there.
You have a charming horse, very beautiful. We start again with a trot. The first word that comes into mind is light-footed and elastic. It shows good ground cover, and it goes very fluent sideways in the lateral work. It could come a little bit more under and just show a little bit more collection. 8.5. The walk, yes, relaxed, in rhythm, shows collection. 8.7. Canter, yes, clear canter, but you had some, accidents in it. Started with a hiccup, but it has clear 3-beat, good ground cover, but sometimes a little bit of a running tendency. So the canter is an 8.2. Then to submission, fluent trot work. We have only good words about that. But yes, and a very relaxed stretch as well in the trot. But then you had you lost canter after the first transition, and then the flying change after the first breath. I can only say it failed. But the tempies were good. At times, a little bit an open mouth. So unfortunately, that cost you quite a lot today, a 7.4. But for perspective, we think it's a charming, elastic, really a good horse. And you were just unlucky today, 8.5. Thank you.
So it's an 8.5 for the trot, 8.7 for the walk, 8.2 for canter, 7.4 for submission, and 8.5 for perspective. Just losing a few marks there in the submission because of those few mistakes in the canter, but into second place with a total of 76.8%. Technical marks of 71. So into second for Suzanne Barnau and Skovdol's Dexter. Spectators loved it though, had her in the lead with 75.867%. Next up is another combination for Germany. It is Nicole Vega-Elgemeier and Dieton. A Hanoverian Stallion by DiMaggio. Damsire Benetton Dream FRH, owned by Maria Theresa Fall and bred by Silk Groveneveld. They finished third in the first qualifier. 8.9 for the trot, 9.3 for the walk, 8.8 for the canter and for the submission, and 9.4 for the perspective. Technical marks of 75.714. So giving her a total of 83.057. It was very, very close with the top three. So starting their test, it is Nicole Vega-Elgemeier and Dieton. Expressive horse, again light-footed in the trot. just at times a little bit unsteady in the contact. A lot of bend there, needed a bit more crossing. Showing a good stretch. Needs to be much more consistent in the frame. I'd like to see a bit more overtrack in the extended trot. And again, see that frame extend, just at times creeping slightly behind the vertical, being a little bit tight in the neck. Still maintaining that lovely cadence in the trot. Just there, you can see the tightness in the neck. Not quite enough bend in the half pass to the right. Super walk. That is something that DiMaggio definitely passes on to all of his offspring. Really super over track. Good activity in the walk. Very nice in the walk pirouettes, both a little large. First one lost a bit of the fluency, second one kept the turn much nicer. Plenty of airtime there in the extended canter. Again, the same as in the trot, though. I'd like to see the frame extend in both of the extended paces. Yeah, nice ability to really sit in those canter pirouettes. A little bit larger in the pirouette to the right. Oh, a little bit late to the aids in the change. Counting error. He actually changed before the rider did in that first one, and then it led to a counting error. So there we have it. It is Nicole Vega, Engelmeyer and Dieton representing Germany. Some lovely work in the test. Lovely and uphill in all three paces. Very elastic in the trot.
finishbekijking waar alle 15 paarden weer terug verwacht worden.
Just at times got a little bit behind the vertical. Super in the walk, amazing ground cover. The rhythm was really secure in the collective walk, which we haven't seen a lot today. She managed to keep the activity through the pirouettes. Nice in the canter, kept that uphill tendency, really good jump, and can show that he can clearly collect. Just a few mistakes in the lines of tempi changes though. Let's hear from the judge.
Thank you, Nicole. Your horse is very easy to fall in love with. He's quite charming and elegant. It's a real supermodel, I would say. We start with the trot. Elastic, active. We love the metronome rhythm of it. And also the lifting is matching in front and behind. That's always good. And that's a good sign for the rider. Very true, medium, extended, also very good. Here and there, he could come a little bit more under the body, a 9.3. I might be repeating myself here during the commentary. The walk, relaxed, you can see he's relaxed. Good, or actually very good ground cover, staying in rhythm, also showing good ability to collect, a 9.3. The canter, self-carriage, yes, check, good. Good jump, very good extended. That was for me a textbook example. Did not need to speed up, he really covered ground by lengthening. Very good ability to collect and sit. Like I said, I'm going to repeat myself, 9.3. Then, submission. It starts with the first holds, which didn't quite convince us. Sometimes the contact could be a bit more steady, very nicely relaxed stretch. Good jumping pirouettes, really grown up half pirouettes. But then, unfortunately, a boo-boo in one change in both tempos. And the nose could here and there be a bit more forward. So, a 7.8. But for perspective, there's a future for this horse. We love it. He's well trained, well educated, a 9.4. Thank you.
And now,
So, fabulous scores. 9.3 for all three paces, 7.8 for submission, and 9.4 for perspective. It is a total of 81.6% and into the lead. Technical marks of 73. So that's the new score to beat, 81.6%. Spectators agreed, although the score are a little lower on 76.999. Next up now, though, it is Las Vegas, and he's being ridden by Hans-Peter Minderhand, who finished fourth in the first qualifier, 81.170, 8.9 for the trot, 7.5 for the walk, 9 for canter, 8.6 for submission, and 9 for the perspective. Technical marks of 76.34. It's a KWPN Stallion by Fado, and the dam sire is Winton. They finished fourth, well, Las Vegas finished fourth in the 6-year-old final under Emily Scholtens last year with 87.4%. So, in for the Netherlands, Hans-Peter Minderhand and Las Vegas. very, very tall, expressive horse, really fills the eye. Some good steps in the medium trot. Just like to see that frame extend. See him fiddling with the bit. Just picked up the canter there, miscommunication into the half pass. Curling up in the stretch, want to see that nose forward and on the vertical line. Again, same there in the extended trot as the medium. Needs to be much more over the back. Extending that frame. And again, just picking up the canter. Very, very impressive in the trot work. For me, just needs to be softer, more supple over the back and work into a much softer, steadier contact. Nice relaxation in the walk. Limited on the over track. Take the stretch nicely. Needs to be careful of the rhythm here in the collective walk. Again, just blocking over the back. Slightly quarters leading in the half pass to the right. Enormous ground cover, plenty of air time. Again, the neck just gets too short, too high, and loses the softness over the back. Same again there in the canter pirouette. Just gets a little bit hollow. Really shows a great ability to collect. Yeah, again, some tension in those changes, leading to mistakes. Just holding himself over the back, And that's when the mistakes creep in. Coming down to finish now. It is Hans-Peter Minderhand and Las Vegas. A very big, expressive horse. Today was quite tight over the back, needed to see a lot more suppleness, a lot more swing. Nice uphill tendency in the paces. Good rhythm in the trot. Just a little unsteady to the contact, especially in the trot and the canter. Clear rhythm in the extended walk. Just needed a bit more over track. Again, the canter really, really big in ground covering. Nice uphill tendency. Still needs to be a little bit more over the back. Just gets tight, and that's when mistakes creep in. Hollowed quite a lot in the changes and in the pirouettes. Definitely going to see the submission taking a bit of a lower score because of that.
Thank you, Hans-Peter. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Also an impressive looking horse. Huge movement, but also something else. But in the trot, in rhythm, uphill, well off the ground, but could come a little bit more under and work over the back, especially in extended. And then unfortunately he broke twice. So an 8.4. The walk is clear. Could show a little bit more energy on over track and a little more supple in the collected walk to manage then the walk pirouettes. An 8.0. Canter, big canter, uphill, big jumps, but also here a little more over the back. Becomes slightly tight in the counter canter. First pirouette was somewhat tight. The second one was really nice and fluent. But we get the impression that today he wasn't always really working over the back. So an 8.4. Then we go to submission. Yes, first hold could have been more balanced and straight and standing on four legs. Then in the first trot half pass, unfortunately, he lost the trot, and then we would have liked to see a much more relaxed stretching down. Also, a second break in the trot. Both walk pirouettes broken. That's what I meant with a more supple back in the collected walk. And unfortunately also a mistake in the four tempos. The rest was good. But because of these mistakes and a somewhat tight back 7.2 perspective, yes, handsome horse, but today a bit tight, so relaxation, throughness can be improved, an 8.2. Thank you.
So scores of 8.4 for the trot, 8 for the walk, 8.4 for the canter, 7.2 for submission, and 8.2 for perspective. Into sixth place with a total of 75.236, technical marks of 70.072. Really being hammered for being tight over the back. A much lower mark for the submission. But But now we move on to our combination that was second in the first qualifier. But our gold medalist from the 6-year-olds last year, it is Leonie Richter and global player OLD. Last year was ridden by Eva Muller. They're representing Germany. It's an Oldenburg Stallion by Grand Galaxy Win T. And the dam site is Blue Horse Donchefro. Owned by Hagstrand and Schokomol. And the breeder is Hendrik Hansen. They were second with 9.4 for the trot, 9.3 for the walk, 8.6 for the canter, 7.7 for submission, and 9.3 for the perspective. Technical scores of 77.768 and giving them a total of 83.184. Like I said earlier, very close in the top 3 with just 0.2868 separating them. So now it is Leonie Richter and global player OLD in this 7-year-old final. Over track in the medium trot. Lovely and uphill in this trot work. Really nice balance through the shoulder in. Super elasticity in the trot. Last year as a 6-year-old, they scored 9.8 for the trot, 9.5 for the walk and the canter, and 10s for submission and perspective. Just take the nose out a little bit more there in the stretch. Could just allow a little bit more stretch as well. Really nice and supple and soft over the back. That's really what we were missing from our last combination. Could you see more difference between the medium and the extended trot? Good reach in the half passes. Could just have been a little bit more through in those half 10 meters. Super here in the walk. Really nice over the back. Good ground cover. Really nice in the rhythm. Nice in the pirouettes. Lovely expressive change. Really nice and uphill in this canter work. Very well balanced through the half passes. extended canter. Just have had a little bit more push, been a bit braver in that. Good collection coming into the canter pirouette. Using a little bit of the fluency. Can they have a mistake-free canter pirouette to the right? Yeah. Just fell out of the canter slightly in that last step, but he did keep the correct canter lead, whereas he didn't in that canter pirouette to the left. Super changes. Nice and off the ground. Lovely to see this combination keeping a lovely frame throughout the test. Oh, a little late in that middle change. So finishing up now, it is Leona Richter and global player OLD for Germany. They were our gold medalists last year in the 6-year-old. Well, sorry, global player was. He was ridden by Ermelo last year. A really, really super job. Just unfortunately a couple of mistakes. A mistake in the first canter pirouette and in the 3-time canter changes. But really, really super horse. Definitely a talent for the future. Going to be pulled down with the submission because of those mistakes. Lovely and elastic and active in all 3 paces. Great jump and ground cover in the canter. Nice in the medium trot. Would have liked to have seen more difference in the extended trot. And really nice in the extended walk.
Thank you, Leon. Well, the horse is called Global Player. We could call him Global Charmer, pretty boy, lovely looking. We can start with the trot. It is very active and elastic. Lovely freedom in the shoulder. Very fluid lateral work. The only thing we can wish for is slightly more elasticity in the contact. So it is a 9.7. I'm glad to hear you liked him too. We go to the walk. It was, I would say, a super extended walk. There was a small loss of fluency or relaxation or something in the collective walk. So it is a 9.5. Sorry, 9.6, my mistake. Canter, good ground cover, but a small thing that he doesn't always really work over the back, especially to the left, which we could see in the first pirouette. And then unfortunately we had a mistake in the 10 piece, but it is definitely a good canter. It is an 8.7. Submission. I think we could all see that it was super fluent lateral work. Unfortunately, he changed in the first pirouette, and then I would blame the mistake in the tempos on the rider. Sorry there. An 8.3. Perspective, global beauty, absolutely, and was with we hope, a very good future, a 9.4. Thank you.
It's a fantastic score there. 9.7 for the trot, 9.6 for the walk, 8.7 for the canter, 8.3 for submission, and 9.4 for perspective. So into the lead with 83.129%, 74.8757 for technical marks. So into the lead there and guaranteed a podium place for Leonie Richter and global player OLD. Next up we have Anna Kasbrak and Dancilo, a German-bred Hanoverian gelding by Dancier. And the dam sire is Fuchel's Florist Count, owned by Future Dressage, Anna Kasbrak, and bred by Brouwers U. Weber. They were the winners in the first qualifier. Had a score of 9.1 for the trot, 9.2 for the walk, 8.6 for the canter, 9 for submission, and 9.3 for perspective. Technical marks of 76.25. And an overall score of 83.325. So it is Anna Kasbrak and Danciro. A super entry, nice and straight. Lovely balanced in the halt. Good over track in the medium. One slight loss of balance over X. Be a bit more supple in the half pass. Nice there in the stretch. Energy in this trot work. Through this lateral work. Much better over the back in the half pass to the right. Much more supple there. Big over track in the walk. Really nice march, good freedom of the shoulder. Good clear walk rhythm in the collected walk. Maintained through that pirouette. Nice bending. consistency through the canter half passes. Good uphill tendency. Shows great ability to really sit in those canter pirouettes. Jump. Lost a little bit of activity on that second pirouette. Harmony between these two. The horse really willing, very attentive. Yeah, super jump. Oh dear. Oh, what a shame. There we have it for Anna Kasprak and Dan Ciro. Just that little spook right at the end. Other than that, a foot perfect test. An absolutely gorgeous job. Very well ridden by Anna. Super activity. Regular rhythm throughout all three paces and managed to keep that through the collective walk, which we haven't seen much of today.
The first
Nice and uphill.
word that comes into mind, oh, by the way, thank you, Anna, is harmony. I wrote it with capital letters. And we do not mind you being spooked by the school. We would have been too. In the chart, we have another metronome. He's very active, elastic, and I know I'll make a German lady happy when I say it looks natural. It is a 9.6. Walk, yes, clear, relaxed, shows ability to collect a 9.8. Canter, he goes forward, he collects. He really has a wow ability to collect. A 9. 4, submission. I could say we saw a textbook stretch. Very nice contact, very fluid in lateral work, lovely canter pirouettes. Do you know where we end up? 10. And perspective, oh, happy athlete, super nice partnership, 10.
Our first 10s of the day, a 9.6 for the trot, 9.8 for the walk, a 9 for the canter, and 10s for submission and perspective. What a test. Absolutely beautifully ridden, lovely harmony. A total score of 86.829%. Technical marks of 76.858. What a horse, what a combination. Very, very well deserved. Just so lovely to see such a happy horse. Supple over the back throughout. No tension, no tightness, excluding that very little spook at the end.
We zijn er nog niet.
A super, super job.
We zijn er nog niet.
So, just one combination left to go. It is Kirsten Brouwer, and she rides Lightning Star. They were here for the final of the 6-year-old last year and came 8th with 84.6%. They were 5th in the first qualifier with an 8.8 for the trot and the walk, an 8.5 for the canter, an 8.3 for submission, and 8.8 for perspective. It's a KWPM mare by Ferguson. Dam sire is De Niro, owned by R&R Sport Horses and Stahlbrauer, and the breeder is T. Villares. So our final combination for this 7-year-old final here at the WBFSH Dressage World Breeding Championships for young horses. It is Kirsten Brouwer and Lightning Star. Active through the medium trot. Could have seen a little bit more of an over track. Super energy and cadence through the lateral work. Could have just shown a bit more of a stretch on the half circle. Lost a bit of the fluency in the shoulder in. The angle of the shoulder in changed a few times. Needed to keep slightly better balance. Activity in the walk. Really lovely, regular 4-beat marching rhythm. Taking a good stretch in the extended walk. Could have a little bit more ground cover. A bit more freedom of the shoulder, especially here in this collective walk. the activity well. Needs to watch the rhythm here. Nice uphill tendency in the canter. I'd like to see a bit more air time in the extended canter. There's a good difference shown and nice transitions. Lovely and through in the change. Using a bit of the activity in that second pirouette. Decided to try and ride it a little bit smaller. The first one was a little bit large, but kept the activity better. It's always that fine line as a rider. You try and go smaller and risk losing the activity, or do you ride it bigger and keep it? You have to make those really calculated decisions in the moment, depending on what you're feeling. Really stepping well under in those changes. So there we have it for Kirsten Brouwer and Lightning Star representing the Netherlands. Lovely mare. Our final combination in this 7-year-old test. They finished 5th in the first qualifier and they jump up the leaderboard today. They could potentially end up on the podium. At the moment, we have out in front Anna Kasperak and Dancero on 86.829. And Leonie Richter and Global Player OLD on 83.129. In third, it is Nicole Vego, Elgermeyer and Dieton on 81.6. Really super work. Lovely regular rhythm in all three paces. Really super in the walk. Lovely contact throughout.
Thank you, Kirsten. Exciting. You showed us a real lady. Charming. Absolutely charming. So, if we're going to start with the trot. Very active, really lifting, bending hind leg. I call it bouncing. I don't know if it's a correct term, but it looks bouncing. A little bit hurried in extended, a 9.1. The walk, relaxed and clear, shows good over track, 9.0. Canter, yes, active, but also at times a bit hurried. First period, quite fluent, then I would say an insecure preparation for the second, but the rider managed well. secure tempos, just a little bit more up in the shoulders, 8.6. For submission, good, soft, steady contact. We really only have something to say about the second pirouette. A 9.2. And for perspective, yeah, charming, well-trained, on a good way, 9.2. Well done, thank you.
So scores of 9.1 for the trot, a 9 for the walk, 8.6 for canter, 9.2 for submission and perspective. So that's enough to put her on the podium. She goes into third place. It is Kirsten Brouwer and Lightning Star with a score of 81.779% into the top 3 for this spectacular mare. What a class it's been, some really super combinations. Spectators thought she should have been in second, 80.64% they thought. So that's it for this 7-year-old class. It is our new world champion, Anna Kasprak and Dan Zero, who took the top spot, 86.829%. Leonie Richter and global player OLD in second with 83.129. And Kirsten Brouwer takes that third spot with Lightning Star, 81.779. Just knocked Nicole Vega, Elgermeyer and Dieton 3 off of the podium. 81.6, Isabel there in 5th, 77.45, Suzanne Barnow in 6th. So we're just going to get set up now for the prize giving.
Here at the National Equestrian Center, Ermelo. Longines passion for equestrian sports dates to 1869. Today, the brand is involved in the most important equestrian events all over the world. And on this occasion, the brand is privileged to present the official awards of the event, a model from the Longines Master Collection. Both boldly feminine and sophisticated, this model for woman achieves the perfect balance between classic elegance and high performance. Longines.
Still plenty more action to come today. Next up in this arena we have the Grand Prix Freestyle presented by Halberstrand Dressage, and then this afternoon at 2:45 it is the Longines final for 6-year-old horses. Again, the top 15 coming forward for the 6-year-old final. Top 12 from the first qualifier that took place on Friday, and then the top 3 from the small final, which was yesterday. So we'll be bringing you the action, and I will be back for the 6-year-old final at 2:45.
And Kirsten Brouwer, Rudolf Lightning Star, Titan Miras, and the owners, NNR Sport Horses, Stroll. Nederland protocol wel plaatsgenomen in de piste, dames en heren. Philippe Magnier namens de FEI Fédération Équestre Internationale. President of the World Breeding Federation for Sport Horses, John Pedersen. On behalf of Longines Independent Country Manager and Brand Manager Longines Netherlands. On behalf of the organizing committee, Ben in de Middelweg en Annie van de Vorm. Bij de bestuursleden Ben in de Middelweg, Bert Kamerink en Annie van de Vorm bij de KMHS. En jullie brengen ze zo dadelijk gaan uitrijden. Owners and readers of the first three horses, please come to the main arena. Dames en heren, gaan straks de Duitse vlag hijsen, want dat Simon valt onder het Hannoverlaner verband. Het wordt de Duitse vlag die gehesen wordt. Gaan straks ook het Duitse volkslied worden. And now the prize giving ceremony. Final for semi-old horses presented by Longines, place number 15 for France.
So, in 15th place it is Claudia Couchard and Apache VD by Boschen. They scored 73.172, representing France. This lovely Apache gelding.
Place number 14, Sarah Rogers, Forest Hill.
Big smile for Claudia. Lovely test from this pair. And in 14th it was Sarah Rogers and Forest Hill. An Oldenburg gelding by First and Look. Scored 73.222% for Great Britain. And then in 13th it is Ida Nordenberg, Kuchmeister and Moretti Valtino. This Swedish warm-blood gelding by Dante Valtino OLD scored 73.286. In 12th it was DSP Big Bang, ridden by Christine Moller for Luxembourg. This gelding by Boncoeur scored 73.772. And then in 11th it was Tommy Visser and Quentin Bergenhove, Belgian warm blood, scored 74.765. Used by Heroes Bergenhove. Lovely stallion. And then it was Hope Beerling and Vianne in 10th place for the United States of America. This mare by Vitalis scored 75.122%. In 9th it was Hans-Peter Minderhund and Las Vegas. AWPN stallion by Fedot. Scored 75.236%.
On the quarter of Germany, place number 8, the Northern Santiago W.
In 8th it was the lovely Oldenburg mare by Littleton, ridden by Santiago Demel. It was L'Amour per December OLD, scored 75.436%. In 7th place it was the Swedish gelding by Hasselholt Donkey Boy. It is ridden by Vendela Eriksdotter Rubin. It was, of course, diploid. He scored 76.186%.
Race number 6 from Denmark, Susan Barno and Scotland's Dexter.
And in 6th place, with that big smile, it's Susanne Barnow and Skovdal's Dexter for Denmark, the Danish warm blood by Hasselhoff Donkey Boy with a score of 76.8%. And in 5th, Isabel Vert and Valdivini, Hanoverian Stallion by Vernino, 77.45%. And then in 4th, Nicole Vigo, Elgermeyer and Dieton. A Hanoverian Stallion by DiMaggio, just knocked off the podium spot at the last minute. Scored 81.6%.
Final horse, 7-year-old horses presented by Longines, the top 3 now. Ladies and gentlemen, for the quota of Germany, the world champion, 7-year-old horses.
So now we welcome in our new world champion for 7-year-old horses. It is Dancero, ridden by Anna Kasprak. Lovely Hanoverian gelding by Dancier. 2 10s. For submission, 1 for perspective. The trot a 9.6, the walk a 9.8, and the canter a 9, giving them a total of 86.829. Our fantastic new 7-year-old world champions. In 2nd, it was our 6-year-old world champion, global player OLD, this time ridden by Leonie Richter, an Oldenburg Stallion by Grand Galaxy Win. They scored 83.129, and in 3rd, Kirsten Brower and Lightning Star, KWPN mare by Ferguson, 81.779. But congratulations to our new world champion, Anna Kasprak, riding the super gelding Dancero. So now we listen to the national anthem.
For the national anthem of Germany.
So there we have the German national anthem for this lovely German Hanoverian gelding by Dancier. Anna Kasparek, a Danish rider, but riding this German-bred horse, our new world champion. A picture of harmony through their test. Absolutely beautiful to watch.
Daar mensen achter deze paarden, dames en heren, het moment van hun leven. Hier bij deze
So lovely
prijsuitreiking.
that the grooms
Ladies and gentlemen,
and the owners and breeders are also congratulated and brought into the arena. Unfortunately in the rain, but I don't think anything could dampen their spirits for being the new world champion.
Leden van het protocol zullen daarvoor treden. Philippe Parnier namens de Fédération Equestre Internationale.
So the owner of this horse is Future Dressage, Anna Kasparek, and the breeder is G. Brouwers Weber.
En natuurlijk aan de mensen achter dan Siro.
Philip from the FEI just bringing forward the prizes.
Van de wereldkampioen. Hier geldt door Philippe Parnier en Jan
Plates
Pedersen.
rewarded.
Juist op dit moment weer even. Is even niet anders.
Congratulations given to Anna Kasparek.
Prachtige prijzen die worden overhandigd. Momenten die fokkers eigenaren nooit zullen vergeten.
And of course from our sponsors Longines, a lovely Longines watch for Anna. Huge congratulations to our top three, but also to our top 15 who come forward for this 7-year-old final. Beautiful bunch of flowers for our groom and a medal of honor too.
Super belangrijk wat zij doen, wordt ook hier gewaardeerd. Uitgewerkt door, zoals ik al zei, Annie van der Burg en Belinda Middelburg.
Ermelo taking it very much in his stride.
Afgelopen donderdag begon het. Dit Longines WBFSH Dressage.
Photo opportunities for our new world champion.
One of the highlights today, the world champion, Dam Zero, Anna Kasparek, with the quota of Germany.
Definitely understands what he's meant to be doing. Ears pricked the whole time through this prize giving. So into second place now. It is Leonie Richter and global player OLD for Germany. This Oldenburg Stallion by Grand Galaxy win. Dam Sire is a Blue Horse Don Chiffreau, owned by Helge Strand Chocmo and bred by Henrik Hansen. Scored a 9.7 for the trot, a 9.6 for the walk, an 8.7 for the canter, 8.3 submission and 9.4 for the perspective. A total score of 83.129%. They were our 6-year-old world champions last year. Finished second both in this first qualifier and this finals.
Met nog eens een extra prijs, bloemen en de medaille voor de groep.
Global player liking the look of those flowers. Looks like a nice little tasty snack.
Bronze at the third position with a score of
And then in third place it was Kirsten Brouwer. She was our last combination to go and jumped onto the final place on the podium with the fabulous KWPN mare Lightning Star. This mare by Ferguson, out of a De Niro mare, owned by R&R Sport Horses BV and Stahl Brouwer, and bred by Tia Valaris. Scored a 9.1 for the trot, a 9 for the walk, 8.6 for canter, 9.2 for submission and perspective. Our podiums are very colour coordinated at the moment. Yesterday we had 3 chestnuts ending up on the podium for the 5-year-old finals, and today we have 2 dark bays and a black horse. I wonder what's going to happen this afternoon in the 6-year-olds. Dressage and matchy there. What a great lineup. 1 gelding, 1 stallion and 1 mare. So now everybody on foot come behind the whiteboards, and our top 3 can enjoy their lap of honour. Big thank you to Longines for sponsoring all 3 of the classes here for the finals. But a huge congratulations to Anna Kasprak and Dan Ciro, our new 7-year-old world champion, with a huge score of 86.829%. Well done, Anna and Dan Ciro. Dancing away in the rain. A beautiful, harmonious test. An absolute pleasure to watch. And of course to our 2nd place rider, Leona Richter and global player OLD. They also representing Germany. Scored 83.129. And then in 3rd place it was Kirsten Brouwer and Lightning Star, the Dutch bred mare by Ferguson. It is Germany out in front. This wonderful Hanoverian gelding. Huge congratulations to our top 3, but also to the top 15 that made up this final. That's it from me, Natasha Baker. I hope you've really enjoyed watching along for this 7-year-old final. We will be back in a few hours' time for the 6-year-old final. That commences at 2:45, where the top 15 6-year-olds from the first qualifier and the small final will come through. So let's wait and see who our 6-year-old world champion is going to be. But that's it for the 7-year-olds. It is Anna Kasprak and Dan Ciro, our new 7-year-old world champion. Join us back in just a few hours' time for the 6-year-olds. Thank you for watching along. We'll see you back in a few hours.
Presented by Dressage. First rider at 12:30 in 3 minutes.